If you would like to know if your child is dyslexic, you came to the right place. We're going to take a look at early signs of dyslexia, so during preschool and kindergarten. And I'm also going to tell you why it is so important to identify dyslexia early on. If you don't know me yet, my name is Arije. I have a MA in Education Studies, and I've been focused on the topic of dyslexia since 2014. I work with dyslexic adults and also parents occasionally. Now, why is it so important to identify a dyslexic early on? Well, school can be a scary place, and this is especially true if you're dyslexic and you're not identified, and therefore you're also not getting the help you need. So here's, for example, one study that looked at the anxiety levels of non-dyslexics compared to the anxiety levels of dyslexics. From other studies, we also know that the interventions that we have for dyslexia become less effective the longer we wait. So if you're hoping that your child catches up, then that is exactly the wrong thing to do, and it becomes less and less likely that he or she actually will catch up. So early identification is definitely key. And one last point before we go into the signs and symptoms of dyslexia. If you're worried about the label or about the stigma that you believe comes with it, then I would tell you don't be. Because the element that actually causes the harm when it comes to self-esteem and mental well-being is failure that happens over and over again. And that is what we want to prevent with the diagnosis. The very first sign of dyslexia that you could pick up on is a delayed speech development. Normally, children learn to say their first few words within 12 to 18 months. Now, if this is not the case with your child, then that would be an indicator of dyslexia. Another sign would be trouble learning nursing rhymes, like, for example, Humpty Dumpty or Jack and Jill. Also, there would be a general lack of appreciation for those kind of things. Another indicator of dyslexia would be mispronunciation of words and persistent baby talk. He or she will have difficulty learning and remembering the names of letters, and he or she will probably fail to know the letters within his or her own name. Here are some words that are generally hard to pronounce for dyslexic kids. They might be multi-syllable. They might be multi-syllable. Syllable? They might be multi-syllable words, words with similar sounds, words with double letters, or words with tricky vowels. Now we come to kindergarten and first grade. During this time period, it will be difficult to learn individual letters and the sounds that they make. They also will have to understand that words come apart and consist of different syllables, and that these syllables then also come apart and then consist of individual letters. So that is also an element that will be difficult for a dyslexic to learn. Because it's difficult for dyslexics to establish the connection between the sound of a letter and the symbol, you will notice that he or she will read something and you might notice that there's no connection between what they're reading and the letters of a word. So you might think to yourself that he or she is guessing. Now, another sign would be that simple one-syllable words are difficult to read. At this point, your child will either already be aware or slowly become aware that this is something he or she is struggling with and others aren't really. So there might be some complaining happening that reading is really hard, or he or she might run away when it is time to read. Another really strong indicator of dyslexia would be if there are siblings that already have been diagnosed with dyslexia. Because dyslexia is genetic, it then becomes a lot more likely that this diagnosis applies. Aside from all of this, I would like you parents out there to know that dyslexia is a specific learning disorder. That's the official classification. So it's a specific difficulty. And I would say that it is good to think about this divorced from intelligence, so IQ. You have people that have a very high IQ, so are super intelligent, and they struggle with reading. And you have people with a relatively low IQ, and they read brilliantly. So the two don't necessarily correlate. And Lastly, it's not just the child, it is always the combination between the child and the social environment. And together, difficulties appear. So school choice, teachers will have a big impact on your child's experience. From second grade onwards, so when the child is around 7 to 8 years, there are additional signs and symptoms that you should be aware of. If you're interested in learning about those, then click over here. As always, thank you for watching, and I hope you found the information valuable.